So, when did you last send or receive a business card, a greetings card? Do you send e-cards, or do you go out, buy a card, buy a stamp and write it in your own handwriting? We're going to be talking about the history of greetings cards and what actually goes into the design. Treat. Well, Mother's Day is just around the corner. We've just had Valentine's Day. Do you send cards? I've never heard, I don't think there's any item that people resent paying money for as much as greetings card. I don't know if you've noticed this. People go, oh, gosh, it's just a bit of cardboard and they're asking for £3.60 or something. Well, yeah, they may be asking for £3.60, and sometimes it's worth it if you think of the amount of work that's gone into producing that card. Sometimes you do think it's a bit over the top, and sometimes you send an e-card instead. Now, personally speaking, if anyone sends me an e-card, I don't even open it. I'm so offended. I actually think it's rude, so I just delete it because I think it's lazy. And I think the only way to express good wishes, congratulations, sympathy or celebration is through a greetings card. And apparently, according to the latest statistics, we in the UK spend more on greetings cards than any other country. We favour them above the e-card. Thank heavens, that gives me some faith in society. But where did they all begin, and what makes a good greetings card? Now, don't forget, as much as we prattle on, you are the best bit, so we'd love your take on this, because all my guests that are in here to talk about this item, you're the people that buy the cards, you're the people that maybe object to the price of them, or the people that say, I've given up sending them now, I send e-cards because they're cheaper. I'm asking you, what do you look for in a greetings card? When do you send them? What do you think is a good price for a greetings card, and do you keep them? My mum, many of you will know, had a stroke a couple of weeks ago. When I went to see her last night, she said, because I didn't think she was taking any notice of the card, she's had hundreds of cards, and she just sort of, I opened them because she can't, and I didn't think she'd read them. And I arrived last night, she said, I spent the first hour of this evening reading all my cards through again and absorbing what each one of them said. And I thought, how fantastic. Well, she could never have done that with a laptop. She wouldn't even know how to log on, to be quite honest. But, you know, that's what you do. You keep, don't you? You probably keep christening cards, you keep anniversary cards, or do you? So I'm asking, what are the cards you've kept? Why have you kept them? Do you send them? And which ones do you cherish, or have you given up sending them altogether? The number is 020 722 42000. 020 722 42000. Or if you feel like you want to be quicker, then text 81333, and as you know, start it with the word London. Now, I didn't know until today that there was a greeting card association. I love the fact that there is. And Sharon Little is here from the Greetings Card Association. Hello.
Hello.
So what do you do then? Do you sort of keep an eye on everybody, or what, or do you collect them, or what, do you archive them? What are you all about?
We're about representing the greeting card industry, and my main part of my job is to help people who start up their greeting card businesses. And there's loads of them, and they come from all corners of the country, and I get a phone call or I get an email from someone saying, I want to become a card publisher, I've got these lovely designs, how do I do it? And then we take it from there.
And I was saying earlier on that we are huge fans of the greetings card in this country, hurrah, but also we really like to try our hand at making them. They are the fastest growing craft, is that right?
It's the #1 craft hobby in the UK, yes. There are magazines galore devoted to crafts and card making in general, yes.
Well, there's a shopping channel I'm vaguely addicted to, which I won't name. Everyone knows it, though, who knows me. And they have a whole afternoon of crafting and making cards. And I mean, it seems a great way to pass the time. It seems quite time consuming, though. And it's getting the envelopes to fit the cards that is the biggest problem, I think.
Actually, fun enough for new publishers, they find that quite hard too sometimes.
We're going to be talking to a greetings card company in a moment who are very successful, but we'll ask how they manage that. But the envelope to match the card, tricky one, isn't it?
For the card to fit inside the envelope as well.
Yes. I mean, when you say you represent, or you're there for all of there is a monopoly, isn't there? We all know. I mean, there used to be. In fact, are they still around? Athena? Do Athena still? No.
There's only a few branches of Athena left.
Really?
Yeah.
So Athena, Hallmark.
Hallmark is a publisher. Athena is a retailer.
Right. So when but Hallmark make cards, don't
Hallmark is a massive publisher.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And then there was one, and I was saying to you in reception, when I used to do a sandwich run in Primrose Hill, Chalcott Square, there was Gordon Fraser cards, because they came out of a little house in Chalcott Square because we used to take them sandwiches. Are they still going?
Not in the same guise. They're owned now by Hallmark.
So lots of these smaller companies are being bought out by the bigger.
Sometimes that happens, yes, but there's still. I mean, we have nearly 500 members of the Greeting Card Association. So we have all the big guys such as Hallmark and UK Greetings and Caroline. Well, Caroline Guard's still a medium-sized company, but a very, very long tail of tiny little publishers. Sometimes just one person running a greeting card company.
We're going to bring in Angus from Caroline Gardner in just a moment, but just tell me this: how did they start? Were they originally calling cards? Like when I went to the Wallace collection in Manchester Square, they have those porcelain like greetings business cards, really, that people would just use as calling cards. Is that how the greetings card started? Just a single sheet?
The earliest ones we know of are actually Valentine's Day cards.
Oh, right.
And there are some in the V&A dating back to the 18th century. Not even necessarily nice ones, but ones to put unwanted attentions off.
And really? Yes. And would they have come in an envelope, or would they have just been literally a card?
Yes. Well, they would have come in an envelope, yes, and they were folded and beautifully decorated, mostly. This was before we had lithographic printing, so they would have just been printed in outline and hand-coloured.
Now, this is our first text that's come through from Nick in Bishop Stortford, who says, when did you last get a greeting card? Well, I've just phoned her indoors and got her to have a count. 53 cards are around our house for the birth of our son, Billy David Thompson, a healthy 27-year-old. 53 cards. See, they will go with him, won't they, wherever he goes, I should imagine.
People do hold on to their cards because it means something special to them.
27 days. Did I say 27 years? 27 days. Gosh, yes, he did grow up quickly. Now, this is a nice segue into our second guest, actually, because he is part of a greetings card smaller firm, and they are called Caroline Gardner, and you are Mr. Caroline Gardner. You're Angus.
I'm Angus.
You're Angus Gardner. Right. So yes. It's in your wife's name.
It's in Caroline's name. Exactly right. Yeah.
And just explain, because I've got some of your samples here. They are. I know I have bought your cards actually, because for the birth of a child, actually, there is one card you brought in that I gave, and I think it was to my agent's baby, because it's just 2 feet, two footprints, a pair of feet basically in the middle of a card in silver. Is terribly discreet. Would you say this is one of your earliest cards that you brought?
It's not one of our earliest. It actually started life as our daughter's feet from Chelsea Westminster Hospital shortly after she was born. At that time, you had to have the baby's handprints and the footprints.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Do they not do that anymore?
I don't know. Our children were a bit older than that.
Don't look at me. I've never had one.
Maybe someone can text in an answer.
I like the idea if they give their own.
Yeah, so that started life as Flora's feet.
Right, and now they've been transposed.
And she's
onto
17 now.
She's 17.
Yes,
she's grown up, hasn't she?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's very discreet. What would you say is your image then for your cards for the more discreet?
I guess
that's not a good promotion slogan, is it?
No, because that sort of sounds like we don't sell very many. So I would say it's probably we're best known for sort of quite upmarket cards, well designed, and I guess discreet is a good way of.
But you supply quite a few people.
We
John
do,
Lewis,
yes.
Paper Chase.
Yes, Paper Chase, John Lewis, but also a raft of smaller independent shops. I'm sure we've got someone in your area. I'm not sure where you live.
Probably. I live right in the centre of London, so you probably have.
Sure.
But I mean, this. I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
There is a lack of card shops where I'm living. If anyone's thinking of opening, I live in Marylebone, where you'd think there is quite a lot of disposable
High Street,
income.
There must be a few there.
No, there aren't. There are.
There's an opportunity.
I'm always going into Daunt's books and buying their cards, which don't have a great selection. If you're listening to anyone from Daunt, so we all go in there.
Supply them.
You supply them.
Yes,
but they don't have much of a selection. Otherwise, there's newsagents newsagents, and the newsagents do this thing, which I'm going to ask you both. There is nothing more annoying than not having a price on it and told it's a code, and you can't find the code anywhere in the shop.
Yes.
Is that? I'm going to ask you that, Sharon. Is that a drawback?
It saves the retailer from having to individually price their cards,
right?
And they should display. You know, you'll see a GG or an FF or whatever on the back of the card, and they should display a little sign showing what those mean.
Yes.
So yes, if they don't, then you should tell off that retailer because they're not being very, very good at all.
So Angus, did you start as a designer, as an artist, or did you see a gap in the...
Caroline did. She was a painter when she first started, and it all happened quite by chance. Actually, we were living in Shepherd's Bush at the time, or Hammersmith, and someone drove past with a car, and it had a flat tyre, and Caroline ended up flagging this woman down and gave her a lift to Notting Hill, where both as it turns out, both our kids were at school, and this woman Ivona was worked for the Design Council and was sourcing product for Japanese galleries, and there was one, the Conran shop was opening in Tokyo,
right?
And she'd been let down by an artist who was supposed to come up with some metal cards, or cards made from metal.
Right.
And Caroline said, well, I'll have a go at that. And some of them you have in front of you
some
there.
of them I have, because again, and I love this is a champagne glass, which is just a thread, isn't it? A thread of metal.
Yeah, it's florist wire.
Florist wire.
Florist's wire.
Oh, florist's wire.
You know, like they have...
that you put in the stems to bend them over.
Yeah.
I say... That's fantastic. I can't. You've got a code on this as well. Now that means
that's just the product code.
All right. If you open it, is there a message inside?
That one doesn't have a message on. We don't really have that many.
Because again, so many times have I done this. Is I've bought a card that's in a cellophane envelope like this, so you don't get to open them, and you think, I love that card because it's got whatever it is, you know, the perfect dog or the perfect face or whatever, and then you open it up, it says happy birthday, and you think, I wanted it to be blank.
Yes.
Sharon, wouldn't you? Don't you think most cards are better blank? Very few people buy them for the message inside it.
No, not at all. I disagree with you there. If the card has a message in it, it should be in the appropriate part of the shop, which is a birthday section. If it doesn't have a message inside it, it should be in the blank section. I think a lot of publishers have come to me and said, I'm wondering why this range isn't working very well.
Right. And
I said, have you thought of putting happy birthday on it?
On it or in it?
In it or on it,
right? Somewhere,
so that some people need a reason to buy that card.
Yes.
And a retailer needs to know where to put that card in their shop.
Yes.
So we've seen amazing turnarounds, actually, with card ranges that haven't necessarily worked without, and then they've put happy birthday inside, and suddenly sales of that card have quintupled, have gone through the roof.
Isn't it interesting? Because it's when someone dies, then you realise the sensitivity of a card, don't you? Because you just think, so often you think, well, why is there just a William Morris pattern with nothing? I mean, what a pointless card, until someone dies or something very traumatic happens to a friend, and you think there is no message, there is no image that is going to be able to, I just want a pattern, maybe. Do you know what I mean? You suddenly realise why that bit of William Morris pattern or something
suits the mood.
Because you must know, Angus, that there has to be a huge amount of sensitivity employed, doesn't there, in creating cards?
Oh, for sure, yes. We cover all of the main occasions you would imagine, birth and death.
Yes, of course,
and everything in between.
Yes.
Yes, you need to have the appropriate words for a sympathy card.
It's all about tone, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's about your relationship with that person and with their family, and you know what's not right.
Yes.
You'll go through and say, no, that's not quite right. No, that's still not quite right. That's the right card. That's what expresses it for me.
We could even open this up to anyone who has received a totally inappropriate card. I mean, if you're bold enough to laugh about it, tell us. 020 722 4000, 020 722 4000. We'd like to know the greetings cards in your collections. Which are the ones you hang on to, and which are the ones that you favour, and why do you buy cards, if indeed you do? And Valentine's is soon upon us, and I should imagine this is, Valentine's, we've just had Valentine's. Mother's Day is soon upon us. That is like rich pickings, is it, for you lot?
Well, Mother's Day is certainly one of the key occasions, isn't it, Sharon? And it's one of the bigger ones for us.
Yes,
everyone loves their mum, don't they?
How does it compare to Father's Day? Are they?
We send more Mother's Day cards than Father's
Dads
Day.
are undervalued.
Yeah, well, or is it emotional blackmail? Do you know, you think, I better do that, I really better do that, and maybe dads don't care quite, I don't know.
I think women do care a bit more about cards than men.
Do you?
And certainly women buy more cards than men. We it's a sort of rule of thumb in our industry that 85% of all cards are bought by women.
020 722 4200. I'm going to play Robbie Williams in a moment, but before we do that, can I just ask you, Angus, we were talking about getting the envelope to fit the card, and I love the way you've got taupe envelope. I mean, really beautiful coloured. That's the other thing. There are some envelopes that you can't even write on because they're so embossed. I mean, do you know the ones I mean, where they're either
the
gold
sort of
or silver?
paper,
yes, and you think, I can't write on this. The postman, it's all going to smudge. It's never going to get there. They don't think it through. A lot of these people do. These are wonderful. Did you have a problem fitting the envelope to the card in the early days?
Well, no, because when Caroline first started, she designed her own envelopes, and some of the ones that we use, we actually have the paper made for our product ourselves. It's in a mill in the Lake District somewhere. So we specify the size of cards and specify the size of the envelope, rather. But no, I can imagine that's a problem for some people when they're first starting out to get an envelope. But there are standard sizes, aren't there, Sharon?
There are standard sizes of envelope, but also the colour of an envelope is really, really important because it frames the card on the shelf. And, again, when it doesn't quite work.
Yes.
and when it does, it makes the card sing.
Is a cheap card a false economy because the envelope is so flimsy? There's nothing nicer than handing over a stiff envelope with a beautiful card inside, or indeed receiving one. Do you know what I mean? It's a completely different feel, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, and that's the sort of attention to detail that Caroline's so keen on, and that's why we specified our own board and we specified our own paper.
I'm speaking to Angus Gardner and Sharon Little. We're going to have a little bit of Robbie Williams. Don't forget, he's in on Wednesday, live in the studio, and then we'll take your calls. 020 722 4200. Greeting cards you've saved. Why?